and just want to let some of the homeowners know what's going on with the insurance policies. First, want to give you a little background. DC Roofing and Exteriors came about 2013. We've been in the industry since 2011. However, I was working for somebody else, but anybody else that knows me knows that I'm a person that does things the right way and wants to educate my homeowners and let them know exactly what's going on. So the problem that we're running into a lot lately is the insurance industry wants to, they're a business like anybody else. They want to keep their costs down, keep them low, but there's some kind of shady stuff going on these days in the roofing, siding, hail and wind damage claims. And what we're running into a lot is homeowners either not knowing what their deductible is because it's changed. They've got an ACV policy instead of an RCV policy, which I'll explain in a little bit. The difference if you don't know. All around, knowing what you have in your policy is extremely important because the time to find out really isn't when you have a claim. So to kind of go over a little bit, ACV versus RCV. ACV means actual cash value. So they're going to depreciate your home's value, or depreciate the damage based on how old your home is, or how old the roof is, or how old the siding is, etc. They're going to depreciate that, and if you have an ACV policy, you're not going to get the depreciation cost back at the end. With an RCV policy, that's full replacement cost value, and what will happen is they'll give you the ACV amount on the front side, and then on the back side, once the work's complete, they'll give you the depreciation. What we're finding is that a lot of the insurance companies are switching over after, if your roof's over 10 years old, they're only going to pay for the ACV policy, even though you may have an RCV policy. So that's something to know on your policy for sure. Know whether you have an RCV or an ACV, and then on top of that, is there a time limit to where your RCV no longer takes effect and they switch over to an ACV? We've hit that several times this year, and it's cost several homeowners several thousands of dollars that they really had no idea that they were going to have out of pocket. Knowing your deductible, that's another thing that's been going on for 2-3 years now, where a homeowner thinks they have a $500 deductible, $1,000 deductible, but what had happened is the insurance company turned around and in maybe a bill, maybe in what looked like junk mail, in very small print on the back side, it says that your deductible is going to go up to a percentage basis, maybe 0.5%, 1%, 2%, 3% of the value of the home. And as much as I disagree with that, obviously there's some kind of legality that they're getting away with that, and homeowners are getting kind of shot in the side. They have no idea that that's what's going on. So knowing your policy is extremely important while making a claim. And if you don't know your policy, now's the time prior to the claim to take a look, call your agent, and ask a lot of questions. Ask them, do I have an ACV or an RCV policy? If you do have an RCV, ask them, is there a point in time when it only pays ACV only? If it does, have them modify that. Usually it's a couple dollars. I mean, it's not going to be a massive change to switch over. Your deductibles, there's contractors out there across the nation everywhere that will eat your deductible up and say that you don't have to pay that. We like to let our homeowners know that's a felony offense. That's insurance fraud. So we're not one of those contractors. As much as we're pressing on the insurance companies, we got to do what's right too, and protect us and protect the homeowners. Other thing to know is your endorsements on your policy. You have, if you have a sump pump in your basement, that's something that your agent needs to know. Make sure that they know that, because if something was to happen and that sump pump stopped or quit working or the power went out, doesn't matter what it is. If your basement floods and you don't have that endorsement, your insurance company is going to tell you, sorry, you don't have a sump pump endorsement, so we don't owe for the damage that's done. We've ran into this probably 4 or 5 times in the last 2 years that cost the homeowner anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 to have the damages, taken care of, which they thought was covered by their insurance. So knowledge is definitely power when it comes to your insurance. Another good endorsement is code upgrades. Code upgrades, what that is if you have damage to your house, but you own an older house, later on down the road, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get everything taken care of. If codes have changed, then if you don't have that code endorsement, then your insurance company doesn't technically owe for that upgrade. So you want to make sure that you have that, so that way if codes have changed since your house has been built, that's all taken care of in part of the insurance claim. What we do is a little bit different than most contractors. Most contractors are out there, make a quick dollar, get in, get out. We're here, and this is based, what we started this business for. I seen an issue with insurance companies not paying what they're supposed to, not paying for all materials. And for the first 2 years that I was in this, I was pulling my hair out, 10, 15, 20-hour days fighting with insurance companies trying to figure out how to get homeowners what they actually deserve. After about 2 years, I found the key to that success, and the answer to that for me was public adjuster when needed. We don't have to use them all the time, but when we're fighting with some of the stubborn, bigger insurance companies, they've become a big part of what we do. Spartan Claims has been phenomenal for us in many claims that we've had claims the insurance company comes out and says, we're going to give you $2,000 on a $50,000 roof or a $30,000 roof and siding job, etc. To where when Spartan's done with them, they're at that number. So just because you have a contractor come out doesn't necessarily mean that that's all you're going to get. Be smart, do your research on your contractors. One thing I always like to tell people is look at Angie's List, look at Facebook, look at Google Maps. Somebody carrying a good background or good reviews is typically going to be all right. If they only got a couple reviews, chances are, they can get away with something. But if they start to get over 10, 15 reviews on each of those, it's hard to stay out in this industry and keep the good reviews down. So with all that being said, I hope that taught you a little bit. Biggest thing is know what you're paying for, because at the end of the day, you may be with your insurance company for 20, 30 years, but it doesn't always mean something. I've seen it happen all the time. We see roofs every single day that I wonder why in the world they're not getting bought, and then I see other claims that I'm asking myself why they got bought. So be smart, take the time, do your homework, and in the end, it'll probably save you thousands of dollars. If you need help, feel free to give DC a call. We are on Angie's List. We got 91 reviews, pretty much straight A's, and Facebook's got 25 reviews, straight 5-star ratings. Same thing with Google Maps. There's 22, 23. We strive on perfection. We're not always perfect, but we do our best, and we do what's right. So if you got questions, feel free to give us a shout, and I hope this helps.